Kristen, Powrsuiters are dying to know. How many dating apps have you been on?
Well, myself personally, none, and I swear that is the truth. I do not have any profiles
What? You
anywhere.
haven't been having secret affairs? You weren't on that Ashley Madison
No.
one?
No, but
Shock.
I did watch
Shock.
that doco. That was fascinating. That was fascinating. Apparently, you can still search it and find,
Ooh, I'll check
names
on
on it.
Kyla.
I know. Yeah, yeah. So, never. However, I have grabbed out of pure curiosity because I missed the whole dating app phenomenon, if that's what it is, transition. And I've grabbed a couple of friends just out of curiosity and done the flipping through. I just found it entertaining, fascinating. I also appreciate it can be really depressing. So here we are chatting about love and careers. We're going to take a few directions today, but dating apps for you, Nat?
Yeah, I was on Tinder. Did I get on Bumble? I can't remember when, because I've done the same that I've seen some friends once, but I'm pretty sure I missed Bumble. I don't know. And
Mm.
now there's like Raya and something else. There's other ones that I think
What's the unique
I think Raya
selling
is for
props of
hot
those?
famous people, is it? And then and then there's another one. I'm like, I missed the hot famous people one, shockingly. And then there's another one, I think, I can't remember what it's called, but I think weirdly it's sort of going back to traditional internet dating of like, tell people some things about yourself. Don't just share your top 5 fishing photos. Or
Oh,
hunting photos.
okay.
Yeah. So I think there is like a move back. And my understanding behind them, as just an aside, is initially internet dating was on on a browser, and you would create a full profile about yourself, and then people would find you and build a relationship. And Tinder was a disruption because they effectively said no one cares about you or who you are. Most connections are made basically by looks alone when you think about the swiping thing. And also
Mm.
they wanted to use technology to remove the friction from dating. But as we have discussed numerous times, friction is very important when it comes to various things. And I think dating is one of them because we're probably talking about a little bit today about how that kind of dating app it took off and it's sort of now blown up a little bit.
Yeah, well, we want to first chat about it in terms of the overlap between our love lives and work lives because, we are whole people. and and so I'm like, what strings can we pull here? But first of all, we love tech and the what is it? Enshittification of tech. So I think let's talk
We
about
don't
dating
love
apps,
the
number one.
enshittification, but we do like
No,
talking
we
about it.
love chatting about it. We love chatting about it. And the whole swiping thing and swipe fatigue, and actually as it applies to another interesting area as well, matching area. Secondly, let's talk about the third places are back for meeting people, which includes work, and talk a bit about that. And then finally, we always love a little like, be careful who you marry. And we're gonna close out with that. For those that are not married yet or haven't don't have a partnership. We just want to kind of,
Remember, single
offer
women
up
are
some
the happiest
auntie
category. They're the happiest category.
offer up some auntie advice. Yeah, I know. Who knows? Anyway, okay. Dating apps. Let's talk tech and apps. Dating app fatigue. It's a thing. Everyone I talk to hates them. So who is still on them?
My understanding is women do better on dating apps because as the incels have taught us, I think it's only like 2% of men or 10% of men get all the women on the dating apps. And I've talked about this
Mm.
a bit with some friends because I know 3 single men, and I reckon all of them are in the top 10%, not because I'm arrogant, but because and I'm like, I know only the hot men. But no, they are when I look at their approach to life, you're like, of course they would be. I think the incels like to paint it as only attractive men get women, but what my understanding is is it's the men who have spent more than zero point 0.5 seconds taking a photo. They've like staged a photo. They've used it to show their personality, not just a fish or a sort of upwards angle under their chin, or put a shot up with like 1,000 mates in it and you're not sure which one they are. So they've actually really curated.
Okay.
They are intelligent and they share information about themselves and their interests and etc. And the third and probably most critical one is when they go on a date or when they are talking to someone on an app, they ask questions and are curious about the other person. These are
Mm.
all things, looks aside, that anyone can do on a dating app if they were willing to put in more than zero effort. But what that has led to is a lot of men will just go on and swipe right on everyone. And then they're basically like, whoever swipes right back on me, that's my pool. They're
Oh.
not discerning. They're just like, I'm just gonna basically blanket, which means that when you go on a dating app as a woman, it can often be fairly overwhelming. But also it's just too it's funny. Humans are hilarious how our behavior evolves to adapt to the constraints of the thing and all those unintended consequences of how the apps are set up. What I do find humorous is that the solution was to swipe right on everyone rather than improve your photos, ask questions, be interesting.
I know, I know. Yeah, the great dating app hack. Another hack we've learned by chatting with a friend we were with the other night is that once you start engaging with someone on the dating app, they quickly share their OnlyFans profile, and so they're using it as lead gen into their only and to effectively commercialize you, monetize you, and pull you in.
I think it's clever.
And I'm like, of course, it is a hunting ground for only.
Yeah.
I get it. I get it.
And it's
I
also,
mean,
I mean, I feel like it's one of those hilarious things, and I've known enough men who've been to strip clubs who've gone, "Oh, I think the stripper really liked me," to know that it'll work, that these women are like, "Yeah, this is great marketing for me." They'll totally believe that I'm interested in dating them, even though I'm 20 years younger and look like an absolute supermodel, and he has aforementioned 5 undershots of his chin in a crowded group of people and
mm.
somehow thinks that that means this girl will be wildly into him.
Yeah, mixed reviews on them anyway, but I think for the most part, because I do know of friends who, first of all, have married people thanks to dating apps. Secondly, I know of people who have initiated like it is a place to meet someone, and hopefully, again, I know nothing, but the filters are narrow enough that you might be able to find someone in a normal human in your radius, possibly with shared interests. Don't know, but the interesting thing, well, as we know, is that they are the algorithm. Really, success for a dating app is engagement and you to use it again. It's not for you to find your person. And so it's
Although
like,
one of them was where the dating app designed to make you cancel or something
what?
that
So you never use it again or something, eh?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I
I
mean,
don't know
yeah.
if they lived up true to that.
Yeah, who knows? But anyway, nonetheless, people are willing to pay for it. So I think the older generation, especially those that want to remain discreet, and again, because I my circles are the older generation, and I mean like the more mature, like me, not like old. Anyway, so they're willing to pay, and so they because they want privacy. You know, there is it's the world is small. We're all separated by a couple degrees. And so it's like, oh God, like I don't, I can appreciate that, the whole paying for privacy and not having your profile shown. Or going on a slightly more exclusive dating app thing. Like I could see that more like a matchmaker thing. That would be something that I might consider. It's very controversial, but I might. However, I did see stats that Gen Z is dumping the dating app, and I think the entire like over digitization, like I don't know, it's a thing. A lot of people are starting to um, really limit their screen time. They want to get out there and meet people IRL, and are finding them done.
Yeah. I mean,
Mm,
I there was a quote I heard ages ago about you get what you measure, and I suspect a lot of those dating apps measure the number of connections you make, and that leads to the motivation of using them being to make a lot of connections rather than necessarily find the one.
yeah.
But also the other phenomenon I've noticed amongst my friends anyway is the cluster that the dating apps are, they have often been referred to as a dumpster fire, has led them to go, why do I care so much about finding a romantic partner, like one romantic partner? And instead, they've gone down a path of really like getting comfortable being a single lady. Like, I joke about the stat of single women being the most happy. It is a true stat, but it's hilarious how we fight that stat so much. And so, what I've noticed with a lot of my friends is they've actually gone, why am I like hurting myself and my emotions and like throwing myself up against a brick wall on these apps that are not designed to help me make meaningful relationships when I could just go out into the world and make meaningful relationships, be it romantic or otherwise. And I feel like sometimes the worst enshittification of platforms leads to us going, oh, we don't actually want that. And I really like that people have sort of started to just not even think about different ways of dating, but think about why date at all, unless you meet someone you want to date.
Yeah, that's the whole boy sober. I was reading about this comedian, what's her name? Hope Woodward is her name, and she ended up launching, I mean, we need merch, by the way, but she had a bit about going boy sober and deleting her app. No doubt her
Mm.
jokes were great. And, there was a massive trend that caught on with young women deleting their dating apps and buying her merch and using hashtag boy sober. And I think what she realized was she was caring for her aging grandmother, and her grandmother wouldn't let anyone do anything unless it was the husband doing it, like wouldn't accept any help, and therefore there was this strange dependency slash reliance on the husband. And what she realized was she was hoping to meet someone, and when she did, it was the same type of dependence, like this weird reliance on a boy. And so it was just interesting that she just thought, "Oh, I'm on these apps because I think I need someone in order to navigate my life, and therefore
Mm.
I'm done." And so she went on an entire year. It was 12-month boys sober sobriety from boys, and
Oh.
it kind of caught on, and it was that nice check about why do you want someone, understand companionship, but, does it have to be this, and therefore is that the channel?
Yeah, I mean, we've
Mm,
talked before about decentering men, and that can be a really
mm,
controversial topic, but effectively it's a challenge not about men, but to women who have ended up through all sorts of generations of conditioning centered men in our decision making in our lives and how we dress and how we feel about our bodies and our food and our glam and how we interact, and actually having more of an intentional awareness of who am I putting first? Like, maybe it should be me and the things that I care about rather than this like real default conditioning. So I feel
mm,
like we're going down a real tangent now. But last thing I want to say on the like, should you or should you not even go into a relationship? I was listening to a podcast this morning from
mm.
2015, and there was a woman on it who was doing her like pet peeve of the moment. And it was that her sister had gotten engaged. So her sister has been engaged twice in 2015, who knows how many times now, and had been married and divorced, and waited a couple of days to break it to this her sister that she'd gotten engaged. And when she did, she said, I've gotten engaged, and then did the like sad face and went, I just really want to make sure you feel comfortable with it because you are not engaged and you've never been engaged and this woman was furious because she's like, I was delighted for my sister, but I don't know why this engagement announcement immediately led to everyone thinking, woe is the girl who's not engaged, and just like the stigma
Mm,
around not being in a relationship and how ever. And she's like, my sister got divorced, and like, that's okay, but and getting married again is okay. But like being single is apparently atrocious. And I just thought, oh, I wonder how much it's changed in the last 10 years because yeah,
mm,
I think even just that sort of default I find really interesting that it's like such a poor woman who's on the she said, "On the shelf." And you're so nice. What's wrong with you that would stop a man wanting to choose you? And I
yeah,
think dating apps are sort of really embedded well, they've really helped some of that feeling of like, if you're not chosen or if you're not in a relationship, you're missing out.
yeah, and aunties contributing as well, no doubt. Your favorite and grandmothers. As an aside of this, so swipe culture, like the swipe fatigue, it's interesting that a lot of people were inspired by the simplicity of the dating apps, this concept of concept of swipe and match. And as a result, job hunting apps followed suit. And I think
Mm.
what we've heard as well in this space is a massive amount of backlash and fatigue with job applications. We know of people, particularly in these tough economic times, have applied to hundreds and hundreds, if not thousand job ads with that simple same swipe, throw my application in, because ultimately that is the only route to applying. And the same stats apply. Like, it's success when someone has five, like a job platform could go, you've had 500 applications, but ultimately then it's just sorted in an AI. You're ghosted by recruiters, you never hear back. And I think it's interesting that this inspiration of this tech, and minimal, well, is it engagement over actual, human connection, how that's, leaking outside into a number of arenas, including the job search, which sounds, again, highly annoying and depressing.
We wouldn't necessarily call this a dark pattern, but I do find it interesting. Dark patterns are when designers deliberately design workflows and experiences that lead to poor outcomes. We often talk about the infinite scroll as one, like it's designed effectively like a gambling machine to keep
Hmm.
people scrolling. So, dark being that it's not great for humans. This wouldn't be that, but it is designed for odd outcomes. And I think you're bang on with the job one, removing friction. Something should have friction. And I think when we go, let's remove friction from job ads or dating, you're right. It's the exact same outcome. It leads to half the population going, I'm just going to try and go for mass and just get as many applications in. And that would be the same as someone who just swipes right on everyone, just like
Mm.
remove any friction and I'm just going to do that. And then the other side of the marketplace is like, now I'm overwhelmed and I have no clear way of discerning, so I'm just applying very simple rules and just like cutting a lot of things that could potentially have been the right job and or partner. And it sort of creates poor behaviors and unintended side effects to what they claimed they wanted to achieve.
Do you know, just as an aside, and this is gonna, like, I'm outing myself here, but when I do scroll in the mornings, and often my algorithm is such that I get to catch up on the latest, sporting events. For example, my algorithm today might have been, news, of course, US politics, like my
Is this
weird
on
obsession.
Instagram? Is this what you're talking about?
Insta, yeah, 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 or TikTok. I sometimes do
Oh, are
TikTok
you
if it's like,
TikToking? Are you a
yeah.
TikToker?
I'm not a TikToker, but I downloaded it. Oh god, that's another conversation. I'll go into it another day. But Instagram is my primary algorithm that I've trained to, world events, US politics, Tour de France right now, like, whatever, blah.
Yeah.
Mind you, that's over today. However, do you know what I've noticed is, because I do it when I'm first sleeping as a product design person, Nat, can't you just scroll without me physically scrolling? Can I just have it on and it just scroll itself? I don't wanna have to do the thing. Like, talk about friction. Can you remove that for me?
Do you know what's funny? I was thinking about that watching the Commonwealth Games this morning. I was like, can't the TV just jump between when a New Zealander is playing in any one of the sports, just move the channel? And I literally went down this exact same thinking process and ended up going, no, because half the time it will drive you bonkers because you will spend a different amount of time on each of those reels. And sometimes you
No, I
flip
just listen to the reel and oh, you mean it would force me to do the
yeah, it would just
entire
keep
one.
going at like 3 seconds or whatever it is,
Yeah,
or
but
at
I'm
the
okay
end.
if I'm tired. I'm okay, just give me a thing to do that.
Yeah, so it's almost like a default is it just ends and then
Yes.
scrolls to the next one, but you can force it. Yeah, I
Look,
mean, I'll get
call it
right on
like
it.
call it like sleepy time or something, okay? Call it like perimenopausal tired woman
I like
mode.
that friction. I think we keep
Okay,
that friction to keep us off
okay,
Instagram.
okay.
Where people come
So,
back in 5 years and we'll just be in our little blobs in the matrix just watching reels scrolling.
honestly, people, swipe fatigue. Okay, so speaking of swipe fatigue all over the place, I don't wanna swipe anymore. Um, third places are back. So,
Mhm.
moving back into meeting humans in real
Mhm.
places. Like, we've talked about the run clubs before. Oh my gosh, those are taking off around the world. Very cool. I've got a child that's, going to them, which is quite cool. Great place to meet humans IRL, in real life, but also work, interestingly, because when I think back to work and meeting people and relationships and stuff, it was a little bit more taboo in my generation, X. I think about a third of us were, found relationships in the workplace or whatever. But Gen Z, almost half say they've dated a coworker. So it's becoming a
Have
third place. So
you? Have you ever dated a coworker?
no.
I've dated so
Oh, that's
many.
not true. Pre-career, I worked at a climbing and camping shop and, outdoors shop, and I love the outdoors, and it's where I met all my boyfriends. So all of my boyfriends through my entire teen years, I started when I was 15 and went all the way through uni, and that's where I found my boyfriend. So
That was your hunting ground.
100% it was, like, shared adventure-y, and I just jumped from one coworker to another. No, I didn't. I was a serial monogamist though, but yeah, I had great adventures thanks to um,
Climbing
coworkers.
climbing coworkers. How
Anyway, what about
what were
you,
the other
Nat?
ways? Well, yes, I'm trying to think of all the ways I've met people. So I was the
Okay.
classic millennial. Actually, this is probably a Gen X thing too. I probably met a bunch of my boyfriends either at a pub. This was I don't know, I've heard it was very different around the world. In the US and
Mm,
probably Canada had more of a dating culture. Whereas back in the good old days in New Zealand, there wasn't really a concept of dating. So you'd meet someone in a bar, probably between 12 a.m. and 3 a.m. If you finished the night, would we have had phones? We would have had phones. I'm going to say getting their phone number. That would be your relationship until it ended. Like, I feel like that was how most of my early relationships started. And, they could last anywhere between 3 months and probably a year and a half was my longest one. 2 years, 3 years. So that was one hunting ground for me.
hunting
And
ground.
then, yes, I've probably met two. I mean, I was the opposite of you. I was always kind of a single gal, and I find this is the longest relationship I've ever been in. Kyla and I are coming up 5 years. Up until her, I was kind of like, oh, I'd have the 6 month itch or 12 months kind of longest before I'm like, oh, what am I doing? I was not a stick around kind of gal. So I
Yeah.
probably have had a lot more than you, short-term relationships. Yeah, a lot of them, a couple of them through work. And I was working for myself. So it would be people who were working in the same office space, not necessarily a colleague.
Yeah,
But
great. Yeah,
like we'd
yeah.
be working
Co-working
yeah,
spaces.
but we'd be
Yeah,
working together.
fair, fair,
So I did
fair.
that.
Okay.
And I did when it was probably like when we first met, so like 7, 8 years ago, I probably got on the dating apps then for
Yeah,
probably
you were
about
a
a year.
disaster. God,
That
you
yeah,
took
and
us
my
all
mum
through that roller coaster.
that was a roller coaster. And my mum would always say, "Go on 2 dates because you don't wanna optimize for the people who are really good at their first date and they're really smooth and charming because 'cause they're
Oh,
probably not the right people for you,
good
whereas the
one, mom.
nervous, kinda awkward people." My mum's other advice was shake hands first. She always says, "Shake hands first," with like and what is it? Insinuation, and my friend once said back, "Oh, Rosemary, we've been doing a lot of handshaking." I was like, "Oh, gross." Yeah, so I probably those were the 2. I'm trying to think, I've never really met anyone doing sports or anything.
No.
But yeah, work and bars.
Yeah, it's a thing, and it does feel like a thing. I would just say make sure that, everyone, check your policies. That's always good, to do. You can do it easily. Just check HR policies and make sure everyone's okay with that. Because that's often when it blows up with a few things. One, if there's a specific policy, and another time is naturally when there's a direct working, boss,
A power imbalance.
obviously. Yeah, okay, a power imbalance. Let's check that and make sure you're not ever put into a situation where you're feeling uncomfortable. That goes without saying.
Well,
But
and
yeah.
actually, that's a good thing to raise because,
Mm,
as you well know, this will be a story for another day, the full story. But I met Kyla at our last company, and
mm,
that was all very out of the blue that I fell madly in love with her. Very odd, given we were both straight. But I was very uncomfortable with the power dynamic because I
yes.
was not her boss, and I actually wasn't even in any reporting line for her. But I was a founder, and she was not. And
Mm,
I remember at the time, other than feeling immense guilt because my understanding of power imbalances is how terrible they are and like how
mm,
easily abused and but also very strongly that she would be the one who was judged. And at the time she was like, why? Why would anyone care? And it was only recently that I think she's seen it in another place and went, oh yeah. um and I think that was potentially true for her that she was an incredibly high performer well
mm,
before we even got to know each other. You, her, and I would be working together quite a lot, just purely in a work context. And she was a very high achiever, high performer, got promoted, and all of that I felt would be undone. If all of that credit she deserved would be undone if people found out, even if it was entirely unrelated, and a year or so later that she ran a real risk of undoing all the credit that she deserved. And I just hate that idea. But I do feel like there are guardrails you can put around it. Fortunately, I was planning to leave the company. So by the time I had my meltdown, it was fine. But I do think making transparency is really critical. And who was talking about it recently? Just make sure people know, like make sure HR or the right people know so that there's full clarity over, and then you kind of are in a bit of clear space. But it is complicated because in the early days of dating, you're like, is it even worth saying anything? Because like it may not be a thing, you know?
Yeah, yeah, definitely chat. Again, check your policies, but it's an interesting point. I hadn't thought about it from the other way around and how um it must have been, well, I know it was strange for you as well, but here we are. And
But
here
it was
we are
strange
5
for
years.
me, but I also
Yeah.
knew that, and this is always the case with the power imbalance,
Yeah.
I would also be the one to stay. Like, there were so many elements of it that put
Oh,
her at
true.
risk that I was
True.
like, this is, and granted, Kyla, we talked about it a lot at the time, and Kyla's like, "I don't care, I'll get another job." Like, it wasn't a thing, but, like, it was all the different elements that if you were in the power position, it's easy to brush off, but actually it's really critical
It's
to
gonna
recognize
impact.
that it's not
Yeah.
nothing. It's actually a huge deal, and yeah.
She's Gen Z. Is she Gen Z?
I claim she's Gen Z. She claims she's
Is
at the
she
other
though?
end of the millennial spectrum.
Okay, well, whatever.
We're both
All to
cuspers.
say,
I think we're both cuspers. I'm millennial Gen X, she's millennial Gen Z.
yeah, okay. Well, anyway,
Oh
young
my god, I'm a
people.
cradle snatcher as well as a power. You can imagine, if you're listening to this now, you can imagine the, what was it, 6 months, 3 months probably of absolute angst and anxiety and self-flagellation that I went through. People were like, "Those early days are so fun." I was like, "It was the worst time of my life."
Oh gosh, no. Well, all to say that young people, so Kyla, claim that they would quit their jobs to be with someone they fell for at work.
Well,
So there you
she
are.
fits
Don't
that
feel so
mold.
bad. It's just your generation. Which actually moves us to, we're just going to spend a few minutes because we already have discussed this at length in episode 129. So go back. And if you haven't listened to episode 129, it is all about how who you marry, and I'm going to use the broad term of marry, cohabitate, commit to, blah, blah, whatever, move in with, that person makes or breaks your career. So we go into it in depth. We had a friend who wrote an article for, I don't, was it Stuff or whatever, which was a little bit controversial, of course, because that is quite a controversial statement. Who you marry or end up with, partner with, makes or breaks your career. But I just think it's worth pointing out, in order to bring this kind of dating thing with work. It actually does matter for your career. And when I think about it, it's one of the biggest factors of your career success, your progression, everything from values of where you're going to live, how you want to live, what is your lifestyle going to look like? Are you both going to be career led? Are you going to be lifestyle led? Family planning, who is going, and actually, let's even talk pre family planning, household management, and all of the things to do at home. How are you navigating that and the fair division of that? And then it comes to caregiving, both caring for your children and family responsibilities, and who does the burden of that fall to? Is there a fair division there? And those that are genuine partners, for women anyway, let's just talk about that. Women are much more likely, can't remember the stats, it's where we jump into that podcast, are far more likely to succeed when they have actual partners at home, that where there's a fair division of labor in all of these things. So it impacts you by hundreds of thousands of dollars, as well as meaning in your career, if that is something that's important to you.
Yeah, there was a study recently, I think it was recently, that had, I think I've shared this already, a doctor and a lawyer, and where they asked a bunch of, they must have asked married couples who were doctors and lawyers. Okay, I'm gonna have to look into this research more because that might be hard to find. But when the woman was the doctor and the man was the lawyer, the woman doctor would claim her schedule was far more flexible, and that's why she took on the majority of the childcare and home burden. And then
Okay.
when they flipped the roles and asked them the same, when the woman was the lawyer, she said exactly the same. And
See?
the outcome was that flexibility is a choice. And I see it in a few of my friends' relationships and ex-relationships where the man is very quick to talk about inflexibility of his role, and the woman is very quick to go, "Well, I'm not leaving my kids alone at school, so I will drop things and change things." And I'm like, "Yeah, now I've seen that research, I'm like, flexibility is a choice." And you wanna be with someone who makes it. I think the final thing I would like to say also about
Mm,
relationships at work, and meeting people, especially with that power imbalance thing, is
mm,
there is a difference as well between a relationship and sexual harassment. And I think it has to be said in something like this because there are so many, and we hear this often, not relationships, situations where someone will make you feel uncomfortable or
mm.
hit on you in a way that is inappropriate. And I think we have to be very clear that that is very different from two consenting adults deciding to start a relationship. So never want anyone to feel like in a workplace, oh, well, hitting on you is nuanced. And you actually have to be very careful about when and how you make a move if you do,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
again, with the power imbalances, if your colleagues, consent is not always a given because there are situations where even if you say yes, you may not feel like you can say no. So I just wanted to say that as well because we've seen some horror stories recently in the news in New Zealand where you just think that's not a relationship, but one half of it has sort of claimed that it is.
There's such an interesting Netflix show on right now. I think it's, like, called isn't it Toxic Partner or something? You don't
I
do
don't know.
Netflix, eh?
No.
I
Well, I
watched
just
it.
don't at the moment. We've got Neon.
Absolute trash, but, like, good trash on the weekend, and I think it's called Toxic Partner, and it was, like, fascinating. It was in the end, they first thought it was, like, a manipulation of one woman. She was sent to jail. I'm not gonna go into the story. It turns out it was the other woman, and then at the end, plot twist, turns out the man was behind the whole thing. Um, so anyway, fascinating. Not helpful because I'm not going into detail because I don't wanna, well, I've already ruined it. Here we
You
go.
don't want a spoiler alert.
Anyway,
Your spoiler alert.
yeah, spoiler alert. I won't say the title of it, but I would just like to end on it's worth questioning and having these conversations really early in your relationship. And one thing I just want to say about pay equity and the fact that women often are in careers that are lower paying, and that is where a lot of the pay gap comes from, is that we do not value the types of work that historically women have chosen over men. And so as a result, women are the ones that go, well, I make less, so I'm the one that's going to take time out of my career. And so I just think this goes right back to valuing how do we value the type of work that we do as a society,
Mm.
in terms of gendered roles and
Or I
work.
make
It's still
less, thus I should pick up more of the slack at home, and it's
Yep,
yeah.
yep. That's that, and then also just have these conversations of division of labor, of all the things, the mental load, the digital load, everything that comes along with that, and
And
just think.
renegotiate regularly. Like,
Yeah,
this is not a set and
yeah.
forget situation, as we have talked about a lot before. It's something that your lives will change, your situation will change, your children will grow up, you'll get a dog, whatever happens, you'll move country, and you're gonna have to renegotiate how you
Yeah.
both interact. We did
Okay,
that
well, there you
actually
go.
a
A
couple
bit
of
of a
weeks
random
ago.
one.
Our
Love
balance at
love
home
and
got out of
dating.
oh, what? I'm telling a story. No.
Sorry, are you telling the story? What's
I
the
was saying
story?
our balance got out of whack at our house a couple of weeks ago, and we have
Oh,
rebalanced it.
good.
Have you ever rebalanced yours?
It just naturally happened. I didn't have to renegotiate.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, no, it's
Yeah,
more that I think sometimes you can just end up with some things being invisible, and then you're like, "Oh gosh, I didn't notice you were doing all of that," or,
no.
or vice versa.
It
Um,
just naturally, but I also had, I married someone who took, half the parental
yeah,
leave.
maybe you're the
So
one who's dropping the ball.
I probably am.
Maybe
Do
for
you
our
know that
spouses, like, I
last
really
thing?
wanna renegotiate my
Our
household
time is
load.
up, but do you know she's a Japanese American comedian. She's gonna be in Auckland shortly, by the way. What's her name? Gosh, Asuko something. She's so funny. But she was all like, when my friends talk to me about their husbands and how they don't fold laundry, they don't do the laundry, they just throw it all over the floor, they don't doing anything at home. And she's like, and I'm just like, oh my God. And she has this hilarious, she's the one with the bowl cut, she's so
I
funny.
love her.
Um,
She's hilarious.
and then she walks away and then she goes, and then when I walk away with my friends, I'm like, oh, I am the husband. I am the husband. And I'm like, me too, girl. I am the husband.
There's a
So
few wife
anyway,
husbands out there.
I love it. I love it. Okay, thanks everyone. Powrsuit.com. Check it out. Come join us because we actually chat about this stuff in really practical ways and give you the tools to have those conversations both in the workplace and at home when it comes to negotiation and so on and so forth. But
And as of 2 weeks ago, 1 week ago,
yep.
we now are putting the videos on YouTube as well, so not just the audio of
YouTube, check out our
our
YouTube.
podcast.
Yeah,
Yeah, you can now
that's
see
it.
us, and at the moment, if you come and watch us right now on YouTube, I am bathed in sunlight and squinting. I'm probably looking really grumpy because 'cause I'm, like, kind of squinted to the sun.
It's all good. It's all right. Thanks everyone. We'll catch you next time. Bye.
Bye.